Shout out to 4th grade at Wilson Intermediate. Woo!
We're here to talk to you about the Appalachian Trail. We brought some gear. We're going to tell you about some of the things we did on the trail and also our experiences.
Okay, we hiked this past summer in Virginia. We went about 80 miles in 8 days. So that's how many miles a day? 10. Good. Let's start with some of the gear that we used. The first thing is very important for any hikers to have some sort of a walking stick or hiking stick. I just used a piece of wood. Glenn here's got some nice expensive sticks that he forgot today. But very helpful for hiking. You always want to have some way to help you out with that. Let's just go through some of the gear. Essentials: hiking stick, water bottle. You need to drink plenty of water.
Water bladder. It's something that you put you put it in your bag and you fill it up. It can carry a little more than a bottle. It's about 3 liters. That bottle's about 1 liter. So,
sleeping bag. You get the idea. We'll leave this one closed up for you. And what goes under that would be
a sleeping pad. So these, a lot of times, they're either maybe a foam, or they're also going to be self-inflating, or you actually have to blow it up. Kind of like a balloon. It can be a little bit exhausting. It can act like a flotation device in case your plane goes down.
All right, what that's going to do is give you something soft to lay on when you're on the ground, because the ground gets a little hard after a while. If you like to eat, I know Glenn and I do, you want to bring along probably some silverware set with you. We have our own sets here.
Also, you end up bringing plates, bowls, cups, and yeah, so Dave's got some metal, durable stuff. I got some plastic all-in-ones. It's all about cut and weight, so durability.
Coming down here, another thing that's going to be very important that they won't talk to you about in school probably is duct tape. Good for all that ails you.
That's really great for things like blisters, or maybe if your pack's got some holes in it to keep the rain out, the bugs out, etc. Also, another thing that's extremely necessary when you're out in the middle of nowhere, a water filter. You just can't dip your cup into anything and drink the water. It can make you real sick. So basically, this is a filtration system. This end goes into the actual creek, and then this end goes into the top of the cup like so, and you just pump. And there's a filter on the inside that does all the filtering out, etc.
Now, if you like to eat, so do other animals and critters. Something you want to watch out for when you're on the trail is bears. Bears like to eat food. They really like to eat human food as well. So one of the things that one of our buddies designed here to keep bears away from your food is you want to hang your food up at night. In other words, you want to find a couple, 2 trees or so, and you're going to take this rope here, and we've kind of put it up here with a baseball. Just kind of put this rope through the baseball. You use that as your weight to throw up into the tree, and it'll hook up on there, and then you'll pull the rope through, and you want to take your food and tie it up in the air so the bears can't get to it. Otherwise, you're going to be hungry.
Yeah, mice is actually even a bigger problem, I would say, as they will gnaw on anything. You can barely see it, but my water bladder, little bite valve, got gnawed on by a mouse recently, so this last trip. It's kind of gross, but it works. You just wash it off and you kind of roll with it, honestly. So another thing that's really critical and crucial, clothing. So I'm wearing something that you might find more applicable on the trail, so I got my boots on. Something that's going to give you some ankle stability as well as some durable soles. Hard soles, they're going to have a lot of traction on them because it's kind of slick out there. Shorts, of course, long sleeve, short sleeve shirt, something that's going to maybe wick moisture. That really helps. Something that's going to control odor, because you will get that going on. A down vest. It's lightweight, so that's really nice, and it also keeps you really warm. As well as wool socks, just something that's going to help absorb moisture, because if you get wet and hot, you're going to get blisters.
So Glenn is dressed for the trail. He would be ready to go. I am not. I'm not dressed for the trail, but
average Joe.
What I wore was a lot of, as he said, clothes that would wick away moisture from your body. So things that are light, things like Under Armour wear, right? Things that are going to be real lightweight and get moisture off your body. When you're hiking, especially in the summer, it gets very hot. You're going to sweat a lot. You don't want all that sweat sticking on you. You want that to evaporate off, and that cools your body as you're hiking.
Now, we will say we didn't bring everything that by any means that everyone brings, because that's just, you got a lot of stuff. We brought a small sample. Of course, you have items like food. You have maps, because you do want to know where you're going. We have our backpacks here. Our backpack consists of basically a giant bag with many compartments. It goes on your shoulders, like so. You're going to want a snug fit. That really matters. By snug, meaning that you don't want any space between the back of the backpack and your back on the side here. So the more that's kind of on you, and it's is, if you will, one with you, the better that is going to feel when you're hiking 10 miles a day. Because basically, when it starts getting loose, it shakes and it creates a lot of strain on you.
So, real quick there on the backpack wise, I know some people had asked how much would a backpack weigh. Okay, so first of all, water bottle. They make these nice little compartments here on either side to keep your water handy and close. Because you always want to have that easy to get to when you get thirsty. My backpack this past year weighed 43 pounds. You remember what yours was?
Mine was 50.
50 pounds. Okay.
Yeah, it was 45 without water. And for every, I think, 2 liters of water, for every liter of water, I think you're getting about 2.2 pounds. So at one point I was carrying 5 liters, which would give me over 10 pounds. So it's definitely at least 50 pounds.
Okay, so think about how much you weigh, right? Are you 70, 80, 90 pounds? Glenn's carrying maybe like half of you on his back the whole way. So next summer, if you're interested in coming on the trail, Glenn would be glad to put you on his backpack. Last thing here as well, sometimes it rains. Even today, it's a little cloudy out. If it rains, you want to have a pack fly. Would you mind just kind of putting that on real quick, if you can slide it over? I don't know if you ever put it on, but this will just go over the outside of your backpack in case it rains. You don't want everything to get wet in there. This is waterproof and just slides over the back there to keep everything nice and dry for you when you get to your campsite.
And another item that's, I would say, mildly important, not so much because you use it a lot as much as it just makes you feel really cool, is your knife. Various shapes and sizes. This one's got a serrated edge, so if I wanted to saw through something, I could, though, like I said, we didn't really use it a lot. Probably the most that we used the knife for was maybe whittling some sticks down so you could kick over the campfire when we had s'mores that one night. But that was clutch.
It was.
Also, speaking of campfires, one of the ways that we did make a campfire, it was pretty much a daily experience, which was really enjoyable. We had one guy that was over, our friend Marty, he would make it. Basically, we would take some of the combustible materials that we brought with us, and we would use that to create kind of the tinder for the fire to start. We'd find sticks, we'd find different areas where we could get dredge up some brush, dry wood, and we would start it over like a pit. A lot of times different campsites or different shelters that we stayed at would have pits where you could start your fire. And there's always, I mean, you're in the middle of the woods, so there's always an ample amount of dry wood, dead wood laying around to make the fire. Yeah. We had lighters that we brought with us, because we didn't do any of the, the rubbing sticks together. That's very, very inefficient. No.
We didn't have time nor energy for that.
Yeah, 21st century, maybe 31st now, who even knows.
Now, where did we stay would be a good question. As someone asked, where would we stay at night? Well, generally there's 2 places we'd stay. Either we'd just make our own campground in the woods. One night we slept out under the stars on the rocks by a river. That was really awesome. Until the rain came in about 1 in the morning. We had to go put our tents up. As well, on the Appalachian Trail, they have shelters that are already pre-built. They have 3 sides on them, and one side remains open. And that's just kind of where you slide in there and sleep at night. They're wooden shelters. Not a whole lot to them, just basically keeps you dry for the most part.
Kind of like a doghouse, if you will. 3 walls. And 3 walls with a roof.
But after a long day of hiking, sometimes it's really nice to not have to worry about setting up your tent.
Yes.
Not have to worry about that. You can just make your dinner, make your fire, and go to bed. So.
Yeah. So this is one of the tents that we did bring out there. I'll just show a picture of it, if you can see that or not. I'm not going to set it up because it takes too much time. But so on average, one of our days would look like we'd wake up in the morning, we'd have breakfast. One of the guys, he was the trail chef, and he would make the meal for us. We'd get our water filled up, get ready to go, pack up all our junk, and then head out for about, I would say 4 or 5 miles. Then we might take a break, rest up, meet all together, because we hiked at different paces, so we would get spread apart, which generally you do want to stick together, especially if it's your first time. But we have some guys who are experienced, and so we generally had some distance between us, so we'd stop every 3 miles, 5 miles, make sure we meet up together, get a light snack, just rest, take a load off, literally, and then we'd get up, hike the next 3-5 miles, maybe take another break. Then by the end of the day, we'd reach our destination, whether it be a shelter or whether it be a campsite, and we'd basically set up shop. And set up shop would look like...
Basically, we'd get there and we'd get our campfire going. We'd usually have a couple people get fire going. We'd have another couple people go and get sticks to keep the fire going. And then generally our friend Matt was the chef for most of the trip. He would work on getting the food ready. We get our tent set up, or if we were seating in the shelter, then we could just rest for a little bit. And then of course always get water. Generally you'll get water right away. You're usually out. Get maybe a couple guys to go get water. And we'd probably use around, I would say, 3 liters, 3 to 5 liters a day. You're always constantly filling up. You generally don't need to carry all that water on you at one time, you know, in Camelot. A lot of times you can just, like I said, you have a water bladder that's 3 liters, which is actually fairly large. And then you might have an Algene bottle, which is another liter, so you'll carry 4 liters with you, and you're just filling that up. So when we stop and get a rest, we'll try to stop by a creek or something, use our filter, get some water. Yeah, generally the best places to get water, well, the best place to get water is a drinking fountain, but they don't have any of those along the trail, so we generally have to go to either a creek, a stream, or sometimes they're small puddles. Try to find a creek or a stream.
Running water is the best water. That is true. So, as along with the cooking, you also have to clean your dishes. So we actually did bring like dish soap, a sponge. There's some practical aspects of things as far as that's concerned. We had a first aid kit as well. There's multiple times like Dave and I had blisters, you know, which kept breaking open over and over again. We used duct tape. We had Band-Aids. You know, one time Dave got hit by a bunch of hornets, about 10 to 15 hornets, and pretty much put him out for the day.
Sick.
He got sick.
Yeah,
it's pretty brutal.
Yeah.
You know, so we had some also Calamine lotion. I had poison ivy going into it, so we had a whole slew of medical advancements with us. So it's not pure rustic.
Yeah, I think one of the questions I saw on there, somebody asked if we encountered any bees or wasps, and as Glenn did briefly mention, we did have an encounter with a hornet's nest. We were walking along the trail, and there was a little tree that had gone over the trail, and I had put my headphones in that day. I didn't really do that after that because I realized you want to pay attention when you're on the trail, because there are wild animals. There's bears out there, there are other critters, there are coyotes, although we didn't run into any of those. We heard those one night though, the coyotes attacking something.
Yes.
Of course there's things like bees and hornets. So I had my earphones in, I'm walking down the trail, and I pushed back the tree with my little stick over here, and I just didn't realize right up into there was a hornet's nest, and they just drilled me. I got about 15 hornet stings, and I ran like the wind to get away from those things.
He didn't have his shoes or nothing. He just ran for his life.
Lord Jesus, there's a fire. Okay, so I got out of there, and it did put me down for the day. I actually ended up getting sick out of that, though, and we actually ended up camping early that night. I did.
Story.
I threw up 3 times. I was done.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
So that was kind of some of their basic, the day would look like, minus the hornets. That wasn't an everyday experience. Him and another friend got hit, but he got the worst of it. So that was basically our experience. So it's really simplistic. I mean, some of the things that you would see out there most commonly was rocks, trees, leaves. A lot of that. I mean, just various vegetation, if you will. That was very common. Occasionally you'd see other hikers, maybe some animals here and there. We saw a couple snakes, squirrels. The coolest thing was probably one of the flying squirrels we saw. That was in our cabin. Then we scared it off, so it didn't really hang out for a long time. Dave got to see a bear cub.
Yes.
That was pretty sweet, yeah. And we saw a deer. That was pretty cool as well. But for the most part, not a ton of wildlife interaction, you know. We're not Snow White playing with the animals. But we did see some.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the Appalachian Trail itself then. So even like I read a book before and during it. It's called A Walk in the Woods by Bill Bryson. But even the trail was kind of, the idea with it came up, and they built it in like the early 1900s, and basically kind of the idea behind it at first was to preserve like nature, as they realized a lot of times the cities were growing and they wanted to make certain spots where nature would be preserved specifically, and also kind of the idea being that for people that lived in big cities, especially out east, they wanted a place where people could go and get away in the nature, kind of get away from city life, maybe find some healing into some kind of peace out in nature, get away for a little bit, kind of get out in nature. So
yeah. The trail spans from Georgia to Maine, so that's a lot of miles, over 2,000. With the worst part really being Maine. There are people who hike it all the way through, in one jaunt, but we're not doing that.
They're called through hikers. Yeah.
It takes about 6 months. Like I said, it's pretty brutal. It costs around, I think, $3,000 to $5,000. It's pretty expensive to do so. It depends on your frugality, I guess, and how much you're willing to eat twigs and berries, I suppose. But we covered, like we said, by about 10 miles a day, 80 miles total. The terrain is it can vary. A lot of times you're going to see either maybe kind of a dirt path, if you will, through the woods, or you're going to be climbing on top of rocks when you're more or less around the mountains. You're going down into valleys, you're going up, you're going down, you're going up. There's times where you're going flat land, but generally there's always some kind of elevation change. Of course, with the mountains being the most rigorous of all the hiking that we did, I think the most tiring had to be, they had a real steep incline for about 6 miles up to the top of Mount Chestnut. We stayed at a shelter there. It was really beautiful, but like I said, it was very tiring, very exhausting.
What was that, 4,600 feet, right around there?
Sure.
Right around 4,600 feet, not quite a mile, but it's a long ways when you go up. You're going uphill with a pack 43 or 50 pounds on your back.
Yep.
It's very tiring.
And your pack does get lighter, so it can vary because it starts out at 50, but as you eat your food, it gets down closer, probably to around 30, I would say, by the time we were all done. Because you get rid of all your food, and you start carrying less and less water because you realize how much you really do need for the rest of the day. And you just always overestimate on the front end what you actually do need.
So when we went, basically I can speak for myself, and maybe you can say real quick, but kind of part of the reason why would anyone do this, why would anyone go hike the Appalachian Trail now? We had nice beds to stay in that are warm and soft. We have plenty of food at home. So why would we go subject ourselves to wasps, bees, bears, and deprivation?
Bugs.
And bugs, okay. Well, I know for me, one of the things is basically just to be able to get out into nature, see something different. Okay, when you go out east, there's different wildlife, there's different trees, kind of experience a different view of life. There's also something about the trail that's kind of unique, and it kind of takes you back to simplicity. You know, what are just kind of the basics of life, you know, things that maybe people 100, 200 years ago would have been more of their just daily life. You're just basically worried about, what are we worried about when we're on the trail, Glenn?
Not a whole lot. Just making sure that you're hydrated, making sure that you didn't miss your turn and get separated from the group. And then also making sure that you don't injure yourself along the way, because when you're out in the middle of the woods, 40 miles in, and you turn your ankle, it's going to take 4 days to get out of there. So it's something you do want to be aware of, but for the most part, it's a very simplistic lifestyle. I would say one of the things that drew me out there, as Dave said, it's experience, it's the contrast. You know, we live very, if you will, advanced lives. We have a lot of technology, we have a lot of stimulation, a lot of go, a lot of busyness at times. So it's just nice to kind of boil things down, get some time alone, just kind of be stuck with yourself where it's raw you and there's nothing really out there to distract you. I mean, literally it's rocks, trees, and leaves. So you kind of start to get the internal conversations, and it's a really neat experience in that, just to kind of still yourself out in nature. It's a beautiful experience. I would also say there is the challenge of pushing yourself. They consider the Appalachian Trail kind of the Mount Everest of the West, if you will. It's what we have in America that's comparable to what Mount Everest is out to wherever it's at in Asia. I would definitely say it's not that intense. I mean, people can die doing it, but it's not like a Mount Everest. But it's still, there's a lot of challenge to it. So there's this thing of pushing yourself as well. That's really fun. There's definitely times of bonding. It really brings out the best, and I think sometimes the worst, if you will. There's a lot of ways that we have really great times together, but then you're around the person a lot, so you also you get the rubs, and you got to work that out when you start getting disagreements, and that's really great too, and that's really enjoyable. So there's a lot of ways where it's I wouldn't say it's necessarily amusement that drives you there. It is enjoyable, but it's not necessarily fun, like I'm playing a video game kind of fun. It's just a whole different level of interaction. So yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Do you have any questions to field here?
We do. We have a couple questions. One of them was, did you guys have to hunt for your food, or what kinds of things did you eat?
Okay. Well, we didn't have to hunt for our food. We could have if we chose to, but we did bring the food with us.
Yeah. We the most hunting or our rummaging we did was just through our packs to find where we stashed it.
And by I say we could, I mean it's not legal, but if we were desperate, we could find something to eat out there. But we brought the food with us so that we had everything ready as we went.
And you'd probably die, really, because we wouldn't know what to eat and what we could eat and not eat. None of us are hunters.
Nope.
No.
So what kinds of things did you eat?
Dry ramen.
Ramen noodles.
Yep.
Cliff bars.
Granola, other granola bars.
Uh-huh.
Kool-Aid, we did have that on occasion. Those were staples that you'd have every day. And then we'd also have like oatmeal. We had chocolate chip pancakes sometime. Most people, by the way, don't eat like this on the trail. We have a trail chef that's amazing, which is one of the reasons why we can probably do it.
So at Chestnut Knob that evening, we had turkey and mashed potatoes and cranberry sauce.
Yep, with chicken gravy.
Chicken gravy.
That was great.
Wonderful.
Like one night we had s'mores when we were hiking underneath this, we backpacked and we stopped at a waterfall and we stayed underneath the stars. That night we had s'mores. That was really great. So this isn't your stereotypical trail food. A lot of times people will bring freeze-dried items with them. But we brought pretty much anything that you just add water to. So whatever you go to the store and you can just add water and you have it, that's pretty much what we brought. And you get creative.
Okay. Besides the hornets, did you guys have any other encounters with animals attacking you?
Outside a random hiking buddy. No.
No?
No other animals attacked us.
No.
Okay.
It's true. They are more scared of you than you are of them.
And also, as I understand just from some reading that I've done, that the trail over the years, because as people continue to hike it and animals see people more and more, they've gotten more used to people, so they're not as aggressive. They're actually a bit more afraid generally of us now than, let's say, 100 years ago, when there were less people that were out there and animals hadn't really seen people and they were more aggressive. So they even say they've tamed down a little bit as more hikers come through all the time. So.
Yeah, last year we actually hiked through a section of the trail that had wild horses. But they would like come up to you and you could feed them and they'd stop by your campsite and you pet them. So though they are quote unquote wild, they were very tame and very used to people.
Okay. Did you guys have to do any training to get ready for your hiking?
We did it a little bit, yeah. We went out I started a little bit earlier and Glenn joined me for some of it. We would just go out before that, maybe like once a week, to start putting weight in our backpack and kind of dress up for it, and we'd go to like some local trails around the area, Forest Park Nature Center or Farmdale, and just start putting weight in there and just walk a couple miles just to start getting used to the weight in your bag and get used to the gear on you and everything. So we did a little bit of light training, yeah.
Have you guys hiked any other mountains besides on the Appalachian Trail?
So I've hiked over in the Cascade Mountains over in Washington State. I did some backpacking out there. I've also hiked in the Rocky Mountains. I've done some hiking out there. That's for me.
Nope. I've been to some mountaintops, of course, mainly driving, never hiking, predominantly on trips. The Appalachian Trail is my first backpacking experience, which I've gone for a couple years, really enjoy it. But outside of that, I have not been as diversely traveled as my friend here has.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
Hey, thanks guys. Have fun, enjoy, keep learning.
Yeah, get out there.